At Briarcliff, in Ohio, things got rolling in wild fashion. And Brandon Hogue took off with an early lead over Joel Hetrick. And Hogue's speed allowed him to hold the defending champion off for a while, until finally Hetrick made the move, which could help him ice a title. Then Chad Wienen moved forward, but it was too little too late. Hetrick standing on the precipice of defending his title. Hogue was off to the races out front again in Moto 2. But the pressure is being applied, and he made a mistake, putting Hetrick into the lead over Jeffrey Rastrelli and Wienen. Then Wienen went after Rastrelli for second, and when the controversial move, got the spot. But he'd later be penalized for crossing over the track markers. Meanwhile, the 1-1 for Hetrick wraps up the championship. Today, it's a day of play at Loretta Lynn's. It's ATV Dirt Days, the traditional finale of the ATV National Motocross Championship. We've been racing here in this series since the 1980s at the beautiful home of the late Loretta Lynn and her family outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And if you come and race here in the summer, as these folks do, you know you're always dodging the weather. We had a lot of rain leading up to the race. Track has come around early for practice, and the fans are ready for it. Here you see conditions are pretty good, but there is more rain expected as the weekend goes on. This race being held with heavy hearts. First, the 88 Live to Ride auction, 20 years now of Matt Bartozik's family. We lost Matt in 2003 in a racing crash, always raising money. 88 Live to Ride Foundation and Endowment to try to improve safety in the sport. But terrible news on the way to this event, the Molander family passing in an RV accident on the way to the track. That's Dane, the racer, last year's Pro-Am champ, a pro rookie. His sister, Miranda, our 32nd card girl, and parents, Don and Kim, all perished. That is obviously the worst type of news you could ever hear. And I know emotions are raw, and it probably doesn't even make sense to a lot of people in this paddock right now. We are going to go racing. Let's check in with Podium at our last race.
What's going on, guys? We are here at Loretta Lynn's, the last round of the ATV Motocross. It's crazy. The season went by super quick this year. Coming off of third place at the last round. I went 5-3 on the day there at Briarcliff. I definitely had a little bit of luck. The second moto, actually 5-2. So there was 2 or 3 riders ahead of me that had a small incident, and they got docked to position, and it bumped me up. So definitely not the way I want to get my first podium of 2023. Trying to finish strong. We got some weather on our hands today here, and that's it. This is a wrap of the season, which is crazy to say. So other than that, I'll see you next year.
Well, it's a wrap for him and his pro season. We'll talk more about his other exploits a little later in the show. Let's check in with Chad Wienen, second at our last race.
Last event, I was able to build some more, and maybe we'll be able to get back close to the top step and battle for those wins. That's my ultimate goal this weekend, and good starts, of course. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, not much left to race for now that Hetrick has already wrapped up the title early. We'll see how that affects how he performs. We get to qualifying, and now you can see dark skies overhead. And I'll just tell you right now, we ended up with only one qualifying session because soon the rain would dump. Hetrick did end up with a fast time. There's Bryce Ford, absolutely flying, and literally there to try to get over the landing of that quad, on his quad. Here is Wienen in the 10 Commandments. Legendary section here at Loretta's. There's Janusa. And Hogue, who coulda, shoulda, woulda podiumed at the last race, but you saw in our intro, had the crash while leading Moto 2. There's Max Lindquist showing you how you get over that quad on a quad. Jeffrey Rastrelli. A lot of podium players today. I love the way this season has transpired. How many riders that can run up front. There's Wesley Wolf at 741. Aaron Salinas on the number 7. It's Kevin Saar, had the podium earlier in the year on the 311, maybe Europe's fastest ATV rider. Cesar Jimenez, this might be the end for him as a pro racer full-time. Hetrick again on top in qualifying. And we'll be right back with more. ATV Motocross is brought to you by RP Race Performance. By Rocky Mountain, ATVMC.com. And by CST Tires. Welcome back. It is ATV Motocross from Loretta Lynn's ranch. There are the dark skies that we mentioned in qualifying that will end our final qualifying session, and then it came down hard. And this is tradition here at Loretta's to have this type of weather at some point throughout the weekend. They did their best to reclaim the track. Got in, I believe, one amateur moto before it was time to send the pros out. So we'll see how it goes in the mud with the big tires on and the mud setups. Let's check in with the champion, Joel Hetrick.
I got first in qualifying. Felt pretty good, hit some cool jumps. Track was pretty deep. We got a lot of rain, obviously the week prior at the dirt bike event, and actually just rained now. So track's gonna be a little difficult today. Putting the mud setup on behind me and just getting prepared as well as we can to go out there and obviously try to have fun, but try to keep going and not get stuck. So that's the goal. Have fun, try to get a podium, obviously going for wins, and don't get stuck.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot more relaxed mood now that Hetrick has already wrapped up the title early. You do not want to go into a mud race, even if you have a big points lead. The title's not wrapped up in these conditions. Anything can happen. You see the duct tape there over the front of every machine to protect the radiators. Let's go racing in the mud. And Hetrick does his job. He gets out front early. That's going to prevent a lot of the mud. No, wait. Weaning down to the inside. Hetrick able to hold him off, and you can see these machines laboring. Oh, this is going to be so treacherous. And we did, as Hetrick mentioned, have 3 days of heavy rain last week for the bike race. Then rain in between, and then the more rain today. I can't believe this track is as good as it is. And there's a lot of drainage here at Loretta's. You wouldn't know it, but the track is actually built up a little bit higher than the ground, and then there is drainage underneath that'll help. We're going to wave these riders out of Storyland in the back. They'll just make a left, and that's probably a quarter of the track they didn't have to prep. And that's pretty deep dirt back there in ruts they won't have to worry about. So Hetrick out front making the #1 look good on the Phoenix Racing Yamaha. I actually love the way the quads look when they turn them into mud mode. They put the big tires on there, look a little more stock. Got the full fenders. Not the ton of duct tape over the front of Hetrick's machine. Won't need it down to these out front. Kind of interesting that he didn't go with the setup there to protect the radiators. They probably have a different idea to accomplish essentially the same thing. Maybe something that's not so obvious to the naked eye. Either way, Hetrick out front, Weenan in second. And you've got to go into conservation mode with the equipment. It is so easy to smoke the clutch in these conditions. And ATVs put a lot more load on the transmission and clutch than a dirt bike. They're a little heavier, but really they'd say it's the contact patch, that wide contact patch with the 2 wide rear tires. You've got to stay off the clutch in these conditions. For 2 reasons. A, you can smoke the clutch plates, but B, every time you slip that clutch, it creates a lot of heat. A lot more heat actually is developed by smoking the clutch or using the clutch than anything else. It's not revs, it's not RPM, even the mud in the radiators. Using the clutch is what creates the most heat. They figure that out with these 4 strokes through the years. So it's not about speed right now. It's about rolling on the power and trying to ride these things gently. But you hear Rastrelli, when you get buried in there, it is so tough to do that. And then Hetrick spinning sideways. Again, the clutch is a great way to prevent wheel spin. You just feather that thing a little bit. You can actually control the wheel spin better with the clutch than you can with the throttle. But you want to be conservative with it in these conditions. Look at Bryce Ford. He is second in points, trying to hold off Weenan. Not the start he wanted today. He is in 9th right now. Hetrick pulling away. Normally we'd make a right and go past the famous billboards at Loretta's. They cut them out of the bike race due to the mud, and they're doing the same here. Look at the lead Hetrick has built up over Weenan, who going with the all-white, both the fly racing gear and the machine. I don't know if they're ever going to get that clean. Head over to Chad's Pits, fans, at the end of this race, and there might be some muddy giveaways. Look at the goggle strap up top of the helmet there for Hetrick. Probably using the double goggles trick. It's come around the last couple of years. You prep a set of goggles for the race, then you put 1 set of goggles over it, and then if you get a bad start, lap 1, you trash that first set of goggles, rip them off, start from scratch. Hetrick didn't need it today. Joel Hetrick controlling the pace here. ATV Motocross at a very muddy Loretta Lynn's ranch here in Tennessee. Chad Weenan there, the white number 44 Yamaha, is in second. but here is Hetrick just powering down. And this has been the most improved part of his game. The mud races have led to his undoing many titles like that. You saw what happened to Cody Ford. The reliability has really stepped up. Hetrick now on the Yamaha, and those are the flaws. The speed was there, multiple race wins every year, but it usually be 1 or 2 mud races where he'd overheat or have a problem, often tilted the title. Brandon Hogue, you see, has moved up to 3rd. Hogue has bad speed, but he doesn't need to use it right now. Rastrelli's in 4th, and everyone is in survival mode at this point, just trying to bring it to the finish in the mud. Wienen just churning through. We're going to get white flag here for Hetrick. Yes, we are. And this is just dangerous for everyone else. That was the only thing they could count on. Oh, what about the mud races? We had some wild conditions a couple of weeks ago in Pennsylvania, and Hetrick looked like he was going to win that one, and the conditions did claim him there, but he was riding conservatively in the first moto. He didn't have equipment problems. He was just riding conservatively. He has proven he can go fast in the mud and keep the machine running. And could be many more titles headed his way. The 4-time champ, the 2-time and defending champ 2 years in a row. Already has the title wrapped up. And another moto win for Joel, originally from Pennsylvania. But he loves this terrain here in Tennessee, and he takes the first moto win. Business-like performance, SSI decals, whole shot award, and that's what you need. Well, we mentioned at the top of the show, really the racing is secondary this weekend to the family. We lost the Molander family. There's Dad Don, wife Kim, and Miranda, our 32nd card girl, and Dane, the racer of the family, our Pro-Am champion and a rookie in the pro class, an RV crash on the way to this event.
All right, as many of you know, there's a horrific accident. The Molander family traveling here, they lost their lives in a terrible accident, and there's not much to say about that. It's a major hurting on the ATV community. They're coming here to spend time with us here at the track like they normally do, and they didn't make it. So it tears us apart. Honestly, it's hard to even cope with something like that. The words I can't even explain. Prayers for their family and everyone involved that's helping out. There's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things right now, and it means a lot for us to see that and see how the racing community comes about in something like this. It's really cool in that aspect, but it's also like this is you can't take anything for granted because nothing's guaranteed, and they were just coming here to have a normal weekend, and like I said, I'm at a loss for words. So Godspeed, prayers to their family and everyone involved.
Well said by Joel Hetrick, taking the mantle as the champion of the series. Obviously very hard to come up with the words to sum up what this means. It's such a community atmosphere at these ATV races. Ready for Moto 2 here. The conditions have changed quite a bit. I think that was Rastrelli back there, didn't even have the machine prepped because they could not decide. Everyone's scrambling. Do you want the mud setup or do you want the regular, smaller motocross tires? Chad Wienen going to get the whole shot, and it is a mad scramble. Hetrick in second almost made the move, but Wienen's going to hold it as they get to the 10 Commandments. Janusa, a good start. He is third, and there is Bryce Ford. Now, Ford, he needs to finish in front of Wienen. He wants to hold on for second in points. There is Rastrelli. You saw that. Making equipment changes too late. Didn't get off the gate, so he is in 13th place right now as Wienen's out front. And wow, does this look a lot better than it did in Moto 1. And now I get the stereotypical cliche. I think I actually see some dust out there. Who would have thought? But we've seen this happen at Loretta Lynn's actually over and over. I'm not surprised at all. It's incredible what they've done with this racetrack through the years. Summertime in the Southeast, thunder showers, they're gonna come. It's just a matter of when and how bad is it gonna be. And they do a great job reclaiming this track. Everyone at Racer Productions, Jeff Russell and his crew, and the ATV Motocross Series. They've been doing this for a long time. Way back in the day, the legend of Dave Coombs was the founder of this event. One year, the creek, which is pretty far from the track, washed the entire track over. It was completely flooded, and he just created a makeshift TT motocross track over in the campground to be able to get this finale in. So whatever we've seen this weekend, they have dealt with worse here on race weekends at this event. Good battles here. Ford, Hogue, Wolf going at it. Wolf gonna make the move on Hogue. Looking good. Looking even better is Wienen keeping the white machine and gear clean this time as he looks to end the year with a moto win. He's been talking about building, coming back from the collarbone injury, and he's definitely built up to this. ATV Motocross on MAV TV is brought to you by RP Race Performance, by Rocky Mountain ATVMX, and by CST Tires. Wienen and Hetrick, an old story here at ATV Motocross. This time Wienen flipping the script. Hetrick has been the best man this year, no doubt about it. But in the finale, Wienen looking good. And I don't just mean from a results standpoint. Look at how clean that machine is, because he got the whole shot of these conditions. Bryce Ford has recovered a bit. He was swallowed up in that battle earlier with Hogue and Wesley Wolf. Now he's pulled back away from them, looking to get Janusa for a third. I think Ford still might be able to hold on for second in points, and that will be huge to be able to hold off Wienen, who had trouble at our opener in Daytona, and then it got even worse at Gator back in Gainesville. Big tangle up between he and Hetrick, broken collarbone. He managed to come back, not miss time, but he's been on the comeback trail in points ever since then. Rastrelli up to 11th after missing the start. They were working on the machine. And I heard even from the Phoenix team, this was a compromised setup here for Hetrick. Again, no one really knew how muddy it was going to be for this moto. And you see Janusa how slow he was out of that corner. That's the drawback of the smaller tires. You don't have the ground clearance in these ruts. But the machines handle a lot better with the smaller tires. And that's what they're all fighting right now. Looks like a fight for the lead also, as Hetrick is going to throw it in there against Wienen to try to win this at the end. Oh, this is going to get good. I see a little puff of smoke coming from Hetrick's machine. Well, now you can ride everything a lot harder. They're not going to be conservative with the equipment. This is much more of a regular race. You can see me using the air quotes right now, and they're pushing the equipment and they're pushing the limits. Hetrick wants to get the lead. Now, the one problem when a track dries out, you can get it back to pretty raceable conditions, but passing is the last thing that comes back. See Hetrick try to go outside there. A lot of times, one line dries out, and Hetrick learned that the hard way a couple of weeks ago at Pleasure Valley when he tried an outside line in the mud, and he just got stuck. And now he's doing everything to get Wienen. Can he make the move? Great racing between these two longtime rivals. But can Hetrick find running room? Janusa's back there in third, throwing it sideways. I mentioned Janusa, this is his last pro race of the year, but he has some amazing pit quad events on old Honda 90s, the Turkey Derby. He's got an awesome facility that he's built now in New Jersey, and these guys have a lot of fun up there, and he is the master of riding the mini quads. So he's still got some things at the calendar after this. Meanwhile, back to this battle. Hetrick just taking more facefuls of mud and sand from Wienen in the final battle of the season. And what a way to go out. Nothing really on the line here. Well, a race win, obviously, but these two have been racing for titles for so long. I don't know how jazzed up they get on race wins. Well, I guess we just got our answer, because you see how hard Hetrick is working to make the move on Wienen and how hard Wienen is working to block it. And I am not surprised they drive this track out. I am surprised we're going to end this weekend with this type of action and this type of battle. I didn't think we'd get to this point where they are sending it right now and trying to make moves. This is great stuff between the 8-time champ and the 4-time champ. And that means we're going more than a decade with these two hogging all the titles in this sport. And that's why we build up Bryce Ford, trying to finish second in points this year, because they have had a complete stranglehold on this game for a long time. Who else can get in there? I've said it thousands of times on these shows. Ford showed, Hogue showed, Rastrelli has been there for a long time. They've all shown potential, but here we are at the end of the year, and we're just back to Wienen versus Hetrick. A pair of Yamahas duking it out. Hetrick trying. Still not able to make it happen, and now we're down to the last lap. And there's the smoke. Oh, Hetrick's in trouble now. They pushed it maybe too far. Can he even get to the finish? Again, it doesn't matter for the title. He would love to end the year with an overall win. I don't think that's going to happen because now either he's slowing down to be conservative or the machine is just down on power. Man, that was a lot of smoke coming out there. Still actually pretty close. And honestly, the odd thing, sometimes the rider is the last to know the smoke is behind them. And sometimes the crew is frantically saying, stay off the clutch, conserve the equipment, and he has no idea. Unless he's losing a ton of power, it's not gonna matter now. Chad Wienen gonna end the year with a Moto win and overall at Dirt Days. And Hetrick survives for second. Janusa's gonna end the year with back-to-back podiums over Hogue, Ford, Wolf, Rastrilli, Lindquist, Saar, and Stanfield.
I put my head down. I knew that start was key. I'm happy to be here. Finish out the season strong. I believe I still got 5th in points, so to finish with a podium is it's awesome, man. I feel blessed to be up here, finish the season safe, and next year I'm going into my 10th year of pro, so that's a little scary in itself, but it feels like I started yesterday. Just happy to be here. Thanks for everything.
But couldn't make anything stick, man. I got really close and just couldn't make anything stick. So ended up 1-2 on the day for second overall. Earned my 4th championship this year, so that feels really good to do that, and already have that locked up heading into this round was super cool. Way different for me, but I can't argue with that. 4th championship, healthy leaving the season, ended with a good day. So go have some fun tonight, and see you next year.
All right, 10 rounds of brutal. We made it to the finale. Got P1, second moto. Got the whole shot of Loretta from start to finish. Had a lot of pressure, but man, great year. Even though I broke my collarbone round 2, I fought hard all year to try and get back to form, and we found it today. So proud of my team, Wienen Motorsports Yamaha. Everybody behind me, thank you so much. And that's a wrap on our here in ATV Motocross, and get ready for the Nations coming up next in October. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and Quad Cross of Nations, spoiler alert, Team USA with Hetrick, Wienen, and Ford would actually go on to win that event. So congrats to them. Let's give you the quick recap. CST tires here, the very muddy first moto. Hetrick SSI decals, whole shot pulls away, avoids that type of problem. When you're mired in the muck, machines often overheat, but not for Hetrick, who wins the first moto. Then as things were drying out for Moto 2, Jeffrey Rastrilli and everybody scrambling to figure out mud setup, dry setup, somewhere in between. Rastrilli got off the line late. Hetrick would close to the rear fender of Wienen, but would not make the pass. Then his machine started to smoke, and in the last lap, that was the end of his challenge, and that allowed Wienen to end the year with a victory, one of the best to ever do it in this game, and he will be back for 2024. That is your podium. That is your season. And Ford did it by 3 points. He takes second in the series. That has got to feel good for him, and he'll be a contender next year as well. But not just about the results this weekend. Our hearts go out to the Molander family. You folks will be missed. That's it for ATV Motocross in 2023.